So we're nearing the end of day 2 here in 4 weeks to go to Daytona. A couple of setbacks we'll talk about, and we'll kind of bring you up to date where we are. The front fascia is starting to look much better. We're now in the skim coat, Bondo skim coat on it to smooth it out, make sure it's nice and smooth. And you can see how well that's coming along. We got the car running. With the 5-speed in it. We took it for a little trip around the yard here and had a little problem. Apparently the gentleman, and I use that term loosely, who sold us a transmission 2 years ago failed to mention that second gear is non-existent. So we're going to work on that, right, Trotty, this week?
We're going to work on it.
So stay tuned for our transmission troubles. What else happened this week? What else was our setback? We had 2 of them.
The transmission, and we have a little issue with the mounting the splitter to the cross member.
We're going to do some engineering work to make sure that that is fully in place. But as you can see, it's really coming along. It's looking super. The other thing what I wanted to mention wasn't an issue, actually a good thing. We picked up our 7th driver for Daytona for our team. As many of you know, I'm kind of out of action. I won't be able to drive in Daytona, so we found a 7th, and we're pretty excited. He seems to be a pretty damn good driver on circle tracks, and we're gonna test him on the road course, see how well he does. So that's an update. Shout out to another team member. Jay this weekend is in Bowling Green, Kentucky, at the Corvette Museum at the track there, doing some getting some seat time in his CTS, so we're pretty excited to hear how Jay did, and looking to hear back from him. Any closing remarks, Trotty? This is the end of 4 weeks to go. We'll get back in touch with you guys next weekend and bring you up to date where we are 3 weeks to go to Daytona.
See you soon.
With only 4 weeks left before the April 13th Champ Car race in Daytona, we've got to focus on 2 things. First, we've got to finish the 5-speed swap by completing the brake clutch pedal assembly and installing it in the car, along with a brace for the firewall. The second item we've got to focus on is making sure that we complete the Speedway air dam to make sure that the car is stable at high speeds on the high banks.
All right, so we have the clutch pedal assembly is all welded together. We have the Stila quadrant on. We put some non-skid tape on there so we don't slip off. So we are ready to install the clutch pedal assembly to the firewall of the Crown Vic race car.
So we're in the final stages of putting in the 5-speed kit. And one of the last things we've got to do is we've got to take this firewall reinforcement bracket and weld it to the firewall to make sure that it doesn't move. This will ensure that the clutch pedal action won't flex the firewall. So we're going to drill a couple holes in the top of this pinch weld here, do a couple plug welds, weld it on the side a little bit, and that's all we're going to need. We've had a lot of interest in how we constructed the air dam to run the Daytona race. Real briefly, what we did is we started with 1/8-inch plywood, used the bumper cover to draw the silhouette to get the right shape. We installed that on the car using some threaded rod and other bracing underneath the car to get it nice and level. We then took some polyester cloth, some fleece cloth, and stretched it from the plywood over the front edge of the car and the fenders. Once that was completed and it was symmetrical, we then took polyester resin and coated the cloth, which gave it its shape. The next thing we did was we added several layers of fiberglass cloth and polyester resin, and once that hardened, we were able to pull that off the car and then start the process of adding resin and fiberglass cloth to the interior to again give it some rigidity. To finish it off, what we do next is we skim it with lightweight Bondo and make sure that it's nice and shaped and smooth. It'll be coated with primer and then with color when we're finished with the rest of the body work on the car. We'll then add openings for the radiator intake, brake ducts, and to feed the air box for the engine. Thanks for the questions. Please subscribe to our page and add any comments, and like us on Facebook and also on Instagram. Thanks very much.